Hello, this is Carol Walling, an Instructional Effectiveness Specialist here at Baker Online and the Center for Graduate Studies. I want to thank you for joining me today to talk about guiding purposeful and meaningful teaching. What is this really about? Well, we're going to talk about how to lesson plan. So the goal for today is to provide an opportunity for all of us to define a shared expectation of how to establish a quality teaching and learning environment. As you can see from the picture on the right, we really need to try to progress and to change, because if we can't change our minds, we can't change anything. So how did we get to where we are today? Well, we're not navigating in the dark. We have structures in place to help guide us. As you prepare for your teaching in semesters, we thought it would be helpful to discuss how to bring all of these components together to promote student learning and achievement in our classrooms. There are many components influencing how we create quality teaching in a learning environment. The first is the Baker College mission, which really drives the focus of our programs, curriculum, and employees. The guiding principles establish standards for all employees, including faculty. The online learning model becomes the foundation for the work faculty do with our students in the classroom. The academic improvement model, or AIM training, materials and provide us with the tools we need to do that work. And then the online quality statement, which was derived from the online learning model, reminds us of our focus in creating a quality teaching and learning environment. We have a key statement which provides our framework to guide us in our everyday work. And this is that Baker College provides students a quality online education experience. The college's online learning model ensures that faculty, students, and the institution have rigorous expectations, a high level of engagement, and a strong commitment to success. Let us take a closer look at the 7 principles of effective learning structures in the online learning model. As you can see, we have the individual learner right at the center of everything. Then we have learning structures where you as the faculty member and I as the Instructional Effectiveness Specialist live. And then we have institutional support, which helps us do our jobs. The first of the 7 principles is a high level of contact between faculty and students is necessary. The second is learning is social and requires reciprocity and collaboration, which means we really need high levels of student-to-student and student-to-instructor engagement. Which leads us to the third one, learning occurs through the active process of engagement. Timely feedback is also very crucial and critical to the educational process. Learning cannot occur without effort and time. Students of all levels benefit from high expectations and challenging classroom environments. And the final principle of the online learning model is that all learners are unique, and we must respect and support diverse ways of knowing and learning. Baker College online courses follow an Understanding by Design development process. You will notice that key elements of the course are created for you. In particular, the student learning outcomes, or the SLOs, assessments and assignments related to those outcomes are preloaded into each course master shell. Additionally, as the courses are accelerated to assist with the pacing of instruction, the general flow of content, reading, and placement of assessments has been preset into each course. So your teaching really needs to be deliberate, purposeful, meaningful, and planned. You will find these helpful in creating your teaching plan for the various modules in your course. The best way to increase student learning and the mastery of outcomes is to have a purposeful and meaningful plan that includes best practices related to teaching and learning. Before we develop a plan, though, let us take a look at the key components of teaching and learning. From the graphic, you can see that there are 3 components to teaching: having student learning outcomes, having assessments, and having instructional strategies. And there are interrelationships between all 3 components. The course developers have used the SLOs to guide the creation of assessments. You will use the SLOs to guide and inform the instructional strategies, teaching methods, and activities you choose to employ in your classroom. The instructional strategies and teaching methods need to align with what the students need to be able to know, do, or demonstrate mastery of on the formal assessments. Finally, the assessments provide evidence and data in the relationship of SLO mastery. Baker College Online and Center for Graduate Studies has created a mnemonic called TEACH to assist faculty in the development of a purposeful and meaningful plan of instruction. This framework will help guide you through the planning process for your class. It provides both a process as well as guiding questions to consider as you prepare for your class. So T is think about. Think about the SLOs for your course. Think about where those SLOs are aligned. What week are they in? Think about the different assessments in the course and how you're going to prepare your students to be successful on them. Think about the role of your course in context of the program, or the core education program, or is it a lower level or a capstone? All of those come into play as you think about the makeup of students and the personality of your classroom. E is establish your teaching plan. So think about what instructional methods or strategies best fit what students need to learn or do. What practices or assessments could be used in your discussion board, or using tech tools, wikis, blogs, journals to support student mastery of the weekly SLOs. What strategies or methods that you identified could be used at the beginning, the middle, or the end to support students in a strategic scaffolding of the lesson. Think about what supplemental materials you might need to augment that preloaded material. And what is your expectations for engagement for your students? Make sure that you establish all of that so that you can reiterate it and articulate it, which is our next one. How are you going to articulate your teaching and engagement plan? So how are you going to share that plan with your students? Are you going to do it through an announcement? Are you going to do it in the discussion board, through the form directions? Are you going to post it in the discussion board as a thread? Maybe you're going to email them from the announcements page. So think about how you're going to get your students to understand your expectations. And then how are you connecting the activities and discussions to the primary outcomes and assessments? How are you going to carry out your plan? That's C. What happens when students are not engaging? Do you have a backup plan? What can you do when you notice students are not understanding the concepts? When you do those formative assessment opportunities in your classroom and you see those gaps, how are you reteaching? How are you going back in there? How are you assessing those gaps? How do you pace the strategies and activities for the middle and the end of the week based on their demonstration of mastery? Do you need to reteach? What do you as a faculty member want to pay attention to as your role? What are your expectations for yourself in regards to your own engagement? And then what evidence are you looking for to formatively assess students' mastery of the outcomes prior to the formal assessment? How are you giving them their best shot to succeed on that formal assignment or paper at the end of the week or the end of the class? And then H, how did it go? Let's reflect. What worked well? What didn't work well? What gaps are there? Is there something that you can fix next week? Maybe it's something you fix for the next class. So reflect and think, and that's all part of lesson planning. Here's an example of articulation. So you'll see that we put our engagement plan here for our students in an announcement. And we said this week our focus will be on exploring biological processes associated with behavior. We gave them the key learning outcomes. And then we talked in the next one about the formative assessment. We've created a quiz. We're going to have students take a quiz in the middle of the week, and we're going to see how they do on it, and that's going to allow us to ascertain if they have some issues with the content. We also describe some of our instructional methods and where we're going to put stuff at the beginning, middle, and end of our week. At the end, though, we also talk about how we're going to grade their engagement in the class. So engagement will be assessed as follows. 5 points for the initial quiz, 20 points for the engagement in the discussion board, and 5 points for the final reflective journal entry. So you'll see here in one announcement, we have managed to inform our students of the SLOs, the formative assessments we're going to have, our expectations for engagement, and what they're going to do throughout the week. Here's something we decided to show you as another example of articulate, but also as an example of an engagement opportunity for students. So this instructor split her class up into 2 groups, and said, you know what, 10 points of your discussion board grade are coming from your engagement in this discussion thread and your engagement with helping each other. So each student had to read a text, each student got a topic, which they then had to teach each other about, and they had to discuss this within 3 days. So I gave them the engagement expectations, then I connected the activity to the big ideas and SLOs for the week, and then at the end of the week I decided I needed each individual student to create a bubble mind map for me so I could see that they were understanding the connections between all these topics. So I had my engagement expectations, my connections to the SLO, and formative assessment. So you can see there's lots of different ways to articulate your plan, but you got to make sure that you have it though and you're making all of those connections. So we have reached our destination. I want you to think about what we've just talked about over the course of the last 10 minutes and really identify 2 or 3 things that we've discussed today that you're going to try to implement or put into your new class. And I want to thank you for taking the time to go through this with me, and I hope that the Teach model helps you, and let me know if you have any questions or concerns. Thank you.